Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled, What If Arkansas Left the SEC and Did Not Regret It? What if, in 1994, Arkansas hires Dennis Erickson? At the time, it looked like a program finally choosing ambition, a national title coach, a modern offense, a signal that Arkansas wasn't quietly going to fade into SEC anonymity. But here's the part most people miss. The Erickson hire wasn't Arkansas chasing the future. It was Arkansas realizing too early that it didn't belong where it was standing. And before we go any further, let me be clear. This is an alternate history, a deliberate divergence from real life to test one simple question. What if Arkansas left the SEC early, not in anger, but in self-preservation? Because the most important decision Arkansas made in the 90s wasn't hiring Dennis Erickson. It was what they did after he left. And that sets the table to the problem Arkansas thought it was solving. Arkansas enters the SEC in the early 90s with optimism, but very quickly a pattern emerges. Recruiting becomes harder, not easier. Arkansas is geographically isolated, and the SEC hardens around programs with deeper pipelines. Arkansas is not bad. That's the problem. They're good enough to survive, but not positioned to control their future. Maybe be thinking to yourself, Arkansas won in the SEC later. This problem doesn't exist yet. Yes, but institutions don't act on results, they act on trajectory. Arkansas administrators look at the next 10 years and see shrinking Texas access, increasing resource gaps, fewer structural allies. The Erickson hire is the first sign Arkansas is already uneasy. And that sets the table for the fact that Erickson was the signal, not the solution. Dennis Erickson does bring instant credibility, but culturally, something feels off. His recruiting priorities tilt west and into Texas. His system doesn't align with SEC trench identity. Arkansas starts selling itself as national, not Southern. The pitch lands, just not where Arkansas expected. Texas listens. So does the forming Big 12. And before anyone panics, remember, this is an alternate history scenario. We are intentionally diverging here to explore institutional logic. When Erickson leaves early for the NFL, Arkansas is suddenly exposed. They have a choice. Retreat back into the SEC and start all over, or admit the truth they've been circling. They choose honesty. And that sets the table to the coach that locks it in. Arkansas hires Dennis Franchione. Not a splash, not a savior, a stabilizer. This hire tells every conference exactly what Arkansas wants. Texas recruiting credibility, program control, long-term fit over short-term pride. And you may be asking yourself, why would Arkansas leave the SEC for stability? Because stability isn't about prestige, it's about leverage. In the Big 12, Arkansas is not the odd one out. They're a counterweight. And this is where the move stops being theoretical. And that takes us to the game that makes it feel real. Arkansas at Texas, 1998. No hype, no spectacle. Arkansas wins 24-21. They don't out-talent Texas, they just outperform them. This becomes the remembered moment. Not proof of dominance, proof of belonging. And you may be thinking to yourself, one game doesn't justify a move. Correct. But institutions don't move on wins. They move when doubt disappears. After this game, nobody asks where Arkansas fits. And that sets the table for the SEC response. The SEC doesn't lash out. Instead, it adjusts. Expansion contingency planning accelerates. Divisional insulation increases. Tolerance for instability drops. Arkansas becomes a case study. And you may be thinking to yourself, the SEC wouldn't care that much. They don't care emotionally, they care structurally. Because Arkansas proved something very dangerous. A school could leave early and survive. And to make it clear, this alternate history story is not about villains or winners, it's about incentives. And now we fast forward to why this matters in the 2010s. When realignment chaos hits in the 2010s, Arkansas is never rumored. Why? They already did the scary thing. Other programs panic, Arkansas stays quiet. Administrators reference them constantly. Arkansas survived. Arkansas didn't collapse. Arkansas controlled the exit. And you may be thinking to yourself, Arkansas never became elite. So what was the point? Exactly. This universe is not about upside, it's about avoiding the trap. By 2025, Arkansas is stable, respected, unpanicked, not a blueprint, a warning. And also that this is a speculative universe designed to test how institutions protect themselves, not how they chase glory. In this alternate universe, Arkansas didn't leave the SEC to win more. They left to avoid being cornered. And in this alternate timeline, that choice quietly reshaped how every conference protects itself afterwards. If you enjoyed this video of speculative history, like the video, comment whether Arkansas chose safety or fear, and subscribe for more off the timeline college football alternate universes. Because sometimes the most important move in sports history is the one that did not look dramatic at the time.